The 1950 Mercury from Cubra wasn't just a car, it was a weaponized street machine that took 4 identical builds to create. Eddie Paul's custom shop chopped the roof so severely that stunt drivers complained about visibility, and one of the hero cars was stolen from Stallone's storage unit, only to mysteriously resurface at a European auction 15 years later. But why did the filmmakers install nitrous boost technology that wouldn't become popular in movies for another decade? How did a car with only 110 horsepower manage to look so threatening on screen? And which surviving Cubra Mercury ended up gone in 60 seconds? These are 20 weird facts about Cubra's 1950 Mercury that will blow your mind. Number 20. The 4 identical assassins. Hollywood needed 4 identical Mercury coupes to bring the menacing Cubra car to life, but here's where it gets weird. They weren't actually identical at all. The hero car featured a fully detailed interior with custom gauges and switches that never appeared on camera. 2 stunt cars had reinforced frames and roll cages so obvious that several chase scenes had to be reshot from different angles. The 4th car? It was basically a shell on wheels, used only for the explosion scene. Eddie Paul's team spent 3 weeks trying to make them look uniform, but freeze-frame the movie, and you'll spot different wheel designs, mismatched trim pieces, and even varying shades of black paint. The production spent $70,000 per car in 1986 money, more than most people's houses cost. When filming wrapped, Stallone tried to buy all 4, but the studio had already crushed 2 of them without telling him. Number 19. The stolen hero car mystery. In 1994, someone broke into Stallone's private storage facility and stole the main hero car from Cubra. Not his Rambo knife collection, not his Rocky memorabilia, specifically the Mercury. The thief knew exactly what they wanted. Security footage showed 2 men in masks who spent 45 minutes disconnecting the car's custom alarm system that Eddie Paul had installed. Here's the bizarre part: the car surfaced at a Monaco auction in 2009 with perfect documentation showing a clear ownership chain that made no sense. The auction house claimed it had been in a private Japanese collection since 1987, but Stallone had photos of himself with the car at his house in 1990. The FBI got involved, lawyers flew to Europe, and then suddenly, the car was withdrawn from auction. A week later, it appeared in Stallone's garage with no explanation. He's never publicly discussed how he got it back, and the auction house deleted all records of the listing. Number 18. The Nitrous Pioneer. The Cubra Mercury featured a nitrous oxide boost system in 1986, making it one of the first movie cars to showcase the technology. But here's the insane part: the system was fully functional, not a prop. Eddie Paul installed a real 150-shot nitrous kit that the stunt drivers accidentally triggered during a chase scene, launching the heavy Mercury into a wheelie that nearly flipped the car backward. The footage was so spectacular that director George P. Cosmatos wanted to reshoot every chase with the nitrous activated. The insurance company threatened to pull coverage if they used it again. They compromised by adding the distinctive nitrous purge sound in post-production for several scenes where the system wasn't even activated. The Fast and Furious franchise wouldn't popularize nitrous in movies until 2001, making Cubra 15 years ahead of the trend. The original nitrous bottle is still installed in the surviving hero car, though Stallone had it permanently disconnected after buying it back. Number 17. The license plate lawsuit. The ADU SOM 50 license plate became an unexpected legal nightmare. A California Mercury enthusiast named Mike Morrison had registered that exact plate for his restored 1950 Mercury in 1983. When he saw the movie, he sued Warner Brothers for using his personalized plate without permission. The studio claimed it was a coincidence, but Morrison's lawyer produced registration documents and photos of his car at shows with the plate clearly visible. Here's where it gets strange. Morrison's car was black with a chopped top, almost identical to the movie car. The case was settled out of court for an undisclosed amount, but Morrison had to sign an agreement that he would never display the plate publicly again. He framed it in his garage instead. Years later, he admitted that Eddie Paul had approached him at a car show in 1985 and offered to buy the plate for $500. Morrison refused, thinking it was a joke. Number 16. The Flathead Deception. The movie portrayed the Mercury as having massive power, but the stock 255.4 cubic inch flathead V8 only produced 110 horsepower. That's less than a modern Honda Civic. Eddie Paul's solution was brilliant and ridiculous. He installed hidden electric motors in the wheel wells that could spin the rear tires while the car was stationary, creating massive burnouts that the anemic flathead could never achieve. During the parking garage scene, the Mercury appears to smoke its tires for 30 seconds straight. In reality, the flathead was at idle while the hidden motors did all the work. The smoke was so thick that the film crew had to evacuate the garage twice. The electric motor system added 300 pounds to an already heavy car, making the stunt versions handle terribly. One stunt driver described it as trying to drift a bank vault. Number 15, the Mercury badge mystery. Every single Mercury badge was shaved off the Cubra cars, but not for the reason you'd think. The customization team removed them because Mercury's parent company, Ford, refused to let their badges appear in an R-rated movie featuring graphic violence. This created a problem. Without badges, test audiences didn't know what kind of car it was. The art department created fictional badges that said Cobra in Mercury-style script, but Stallone vetoed them as too obvious. The final solution was to have Marion refer to it as a vintage Mercury in dialogue. The only time the car's make is mentioned in the entire film. Sharp-eyed viewers can spot glue residue where the badges were removed on the trunk lid. Eddie Paul kept all the removed badges in a box, later selling them to collectors for $100 each with a certificate saying they were from the actual movie cars. Number 14, the Gone in 60 Seconds connection. One of the surviving Cobra Mercury stunt cars allegedly appeared in the 2000 remake of Gone in 60 Seconds, but the story is weirder than anyone realized. The car wasn't repainted or modified. It appears in Eleanor's garage in the background, still wearing its Cobra black paint and chopped top. Nicolas Cage specifically requested it as an Easter egg for car movie fans. But here's the twist. The car was supposed to be prominently featured in a chase scene where Eleanor races against various classic customs. The scene was shot over 3 nights with the Mercury driven by a professional stunt driver. When they reviewed the footage, the black car was nearly invisible in the night scenes. Instead of reshooting with proper lighting, they cut the entire sequence. The Mercury appears on screen for less than 4 seconds. The stunt driver later revealed that the car handled so poorly from its Cobra modifications that it couldn't keep up with the other vehicles anyway. Number 13, the chopped roof nightmare. Eddie Paul chopped 3 inches from the Mercury's roof, but the modification created unexpected problems during filming. The reduced headroom meant that Brian Thompson, who played the Night Slasher, couldn't fit in the car while wearing his costume's spiked shoulder pads. They had to cut a hole in the driver's seat and remove the floor padding so he could sit low enough. Even then, his head touched the headliner. Stallone, who is 5'10", had to slouch dramatically in every driving scene, creating the unintentionally cool, laid-back driving position that became part of his character. The chopped roof also reduced visibility so severely that the stunt drivers used a system of mirrors attached to the hood during chase scenes. These mirrors are visible in several shots but were painted matte black to blend in. One stunt driver quit after the first day, claiming he couldn't see well enough to drive safely above 30 miles per hour. Number 12, the hidden roll bar secret. The roll bars visible in the Mercury weren't just for safety, they were structural necessities. When Eddie Paul's team chopped the roof, they weakened the car's body so severely that the doors wouldn't close properly. The Mercury would literally flex in the middle during hard cornering, causing the doors to pop open. The roll bar was welded directly to the frame to prevent the body from folding in half. This created another problem. The bars blocked the rear view mirror completely. The solution was to install a periscope-style mirror system that ran along the ceiling, but it made the interior look like a submarine. They painted everything matte black and lit the interior scenes so darkly that viewers couldn't see the bizarre mirror setup. In one deleted scene where Cubretti adjusts his rearview mirror, Stallone is actually adjusting a fake mirror while looking at the real one mounted on the ceiling. Number 11, the overdrive mystery lever. The Mercury's optional overdrive system became an accidental plot device. The system was controlled by a pull cable under the dash that looked mysterious and high-tech to 1980s audiences. Director Cosmatos saw it during a car tour and demanded they write it into a scene. In the final cut, Stallone pulls the lever during the freeway chase, and the car suddenly accelerates. In reality, engaging overdrive would make the car slower, not faster, as it's designed for fuel economy. The prop department added a fake gauge that spun wildly when the lever was pulled, suggesting some kind of boost system. Eddie Paul later admitted he tried to explain how overdrive actually worked, but Cosmatos told him, "It looks cool, that's all that matters." The lever was non-functional in 3 of the 4 cars, as their transmission